Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have with us Indrajbir, who got offer from EY. Congrats from our Aim2crack for the offer, and thank you for joining us to share your experience.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, tell us about the company and the role for which you have got the offer.
Sir, the company is EY. It stands for Ernst and Young. It's basically one of the big four accounting firms. It provides solutions to their clients regarding audit, tax advisory, financial advisory, and etc. So the role that they have offered here is that of an advanced analyst.
What is the eligibility criteria and what are the departments allowed to sit in the placement rate?
So the eligibility criteria was that the student should have an aggregate of 65% or above throughout his 10th, 12th and graduation till 6th semester.
Okay.
And all the branches of CS, IT, EC, electrical and IC and IP, these 6 branches were allowed.
Okay. How many rounds were there during the process?
So there were in total of 3 rounds. One was a written test round and the other 2 were interview rounds.
Okay. Please tell us about the first round, whether it is an aptitude round or it's a coding round.
So, sir, first round included both aptitude as well as coding.
Okay.
The aptitude section included 4 further subsections. They were logical reasoning, numerical ability, maths, and one was English.
Okay.
Yes. So in total, there were around 40 questions, and we were given 45 minutes to solve the aptitude part.
Okay.
And in the coding section, there were 2 questions. There were simple questions, and we were given around 70 minutes to solve both the questions.
Okay. So in which platform they have conducted this test?
So it was conducted on MCAT platform.
Both your aptitude test as well as your coding test?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In aptitude, how difficulty it was, whether you were able to solve it, what is the difficulty level of the questions in all the sections?
Sir, aptitude was easy to medium.
Okay.
I found a bit difficult to solve in English part because there were many lengthy passages.
Okay.
Rest of them I was able to do easily.
Okay. So what are the coding questions you have got?
So there were 2 coding questions. The first question was we are given a matrix of m cross n. So the m was representing the number of days and n was representing the number of products in a company. So the matrix represented the maximum revenue generated each day for each product. So we have to calculate that for each day, which is the maximum revenue per day, and we have to store it in an array and return that an array. So I used one nested for loop, and for each day I calculated the maximum revenue by comparing all the elements, and similarly I did this for each day and returned it in array.
Okay. So what about your second question?
Sir, second question was that of an it was also a simple question that we were given. We were told that there is a chemical reaction between 2 elements, and a certain amount of energy is produced. We were given that initial energy X. So this energy changes at a constant rate per second, and we are given that rate R. So you have to calculate that after a certain amount of seconds, what will be the total energy. So it was also simple. I used a simple for loop and just kept on adding the energies, and at the end return the answer.
Okay. So the timing they have given for this two coding question is 70 minutes.
Yes, sir. It was too much time, but I was able to do within 20-25 minutes.
Okay. So how many students were shortlisted after this coding round?
So, sir, from around 150 students who gave the test, only 12 were shortlisted, and I was one of them.
Okay. So 12 were only shortlisted for interview round.
Yes, sir.
How the interview started and how long it went?
In the next day at around 10:30 a.m. I got a mail from HR that I was shortlisted.
Okay.
So there were 2 mails regarding, we had 2 interviews. So the first one was for a video interview.
Okay.
That was to be held on HireView platform. Basically in this interview we have given 6 HR questions, and we have to record our video and send on the platform. So we were for each question we were given around 3 minutes to answer that question.
So it is like you will be appearing before the protractor and then recording your answers for that question. Whether they have given the question already or instantly you have to explain your answer and then they will record it.
Sir, they were given, on-spot questions were given. We
Okay.
weren't told earlier. Yes.
Okay. So what are the questions you have got?
So they were all lecture-based questions. So the first question was that was about introduction and your family background. So I explained gave my introduction and all these details. So the next question was that what do you know about the company? So as I gone through it earlier, so I was prepared for this question.
Okay.
So I answered it. Then there were some questions like, what are your career aspirations? Why do you want to join EY? And there was one more that, what do you know about the role that we are offering? So I had, as I had gone through job description earlier, so I mentioned all the necessary skills required, and I was able to answer all the 6 questions.
Okay. So this is an elimination round or everybody has gone through it to the next round?
Sir, it was the round 2 and round 3 were collective as an elimination round. No result was given after round 2.
Okay.
Only after round 3 we were given the shortlisted list of students.
Okay, so the second round is mostly like a HR round. The only different thing here is that they have been recording your video.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what about the next round? It's a technical round?
Yes, sir. Next round was technical round.
Okay.
It was my slot was at 10:30 a.m. on 17th of September. So it began at around 10:35, I guess. And so there were 2 interviews in front of me. At first I was a bit shocked as earlier only one had appeared. Now there were 2. So, but they both were very patient and made me comfortable. My mic was not working in the beginning. So I even changed my earphones, but still it was not working. So then I had to restart my laptop, and then they were very patient and with this all process. So I was able to work it out fine.
Okay, so how your interview started? Like, what are the questions they have asked?
So, sir, in the beginning, they asked me about my project. So I explained my project that I've done on machine learning and on deep learning. So then they asked me that, as you have worked with both machine learning as well as deep learning, so tell us about the difference between the two. So I told them that in machine learning we have to manually extract all the features, whereas in deep learning our model automatically extracts them. And whereas also in deep learning there are more number of layers, so that's why it's called deep learning in deep neural networks. Whereas machine learning usually has 2 layers. And then I gave an example of in deep learning it's used in self-driving cars, and machine learning can be used in maybe predicting sales. So they were convinced with my answer, and then they asked me which libraries you have worked with in Python. So, sir, I answered that I worked with NumPy, Pandas. I also know about Matplotlib. Then I know about Scikit. So they asked that, can you explain these libraries? So as I had worked with quite often, so I was able to explain all of their uses and these libraries. And so then they shifted to SQL. As I had mentioned in my resume that I have a basic knowledge about SQL. I had to find the number of employees whose salary is greater than 10,000. So I was able to I was able to do it. I wrote the query in the chat box and sent them, and they were satisfied with it. And then they asked one more question about SQL. It was like there were 2 tables. One had number of rows 3. The other had number of rows equal to 5. So what will be the maximum number of rows if I perform inner join on the 2 tables? So I answered that it would be 3. And then he asked that what would be minimum, and I answered that it would be 0. So he was very happy that you have answered this question. Okay. Then he shifted to object-oriented programming. That he asked me all about object-oriented programming, what I know about OOPS, and the basic definitions of inheritance, polymorphism, and also told me to explain function overriding. I was able to explain all three of them, and he was convinced with my question answer. So then he asked me about if you are aware of OCR in Python. So as I was not aware about it, so I answered him that I have no idea about it. He said no problem.
Okay.
Uh, then the other interviewer started asking me questions. As I had mentioned DSA in my resume, so he said that you must have good knowledge in it. Yes, sir. I told that yes, sir. I have good knowledge. So he asked me that can you write a question? Can you write a program to reverse a string? So I wrote in the chat box all the approach that he was convinced with the approach. Then he asked me about the sorting algorithms. That which of the sorting algorithms are you aware of? So I told that I know bubble sort, insertion sort, merged sort, quick sort. And he was said, okay, can you explain the bubble sort algorithm? So I was able to explain him, and he was convinced.
Okay.
Then they started asking like one of them asked a probability question. So that was simple question. He said for example, we have tickets numbered from 1 to 20, and I had to pick one ticket. So he said, what will be the probability that the ticket would be a multiple of 3 or 5?
Okay.
So I took around 10 to 15 seconds, and I was able to answer it.
Okay.
So he said, okay. Then they shifted to HR questions. So he asked me that how do you wish to work in the company? Is it like you're a team or you're an individual? So I said that since now I have been working in many projects, I work in a team. So I would like to be work in a team as well in the company where everyone can contribute towards the end goal. So he said, okay, very good. Then he asked me that what are your hobbies? What do you do except except your academics? So I answered him that I love playing chess, and I also watch even cricket matches. So he said, okay, well, so then then he asked me about if you have questions, any questions for me. So I asked him that about my feedback, and he said that you answered all the questions, and yes, sir, they both were quite happy.
Okay. So that's the end of the interview. And when you have got the result?
Sir, I got the result around 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
Okay. So how many students were shortlisted finally?
Sir, out of 12, 3 were shortlisted.
Okay. So out of 150 who has appeared for this interview process, they selected only 3.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Tell us about the projects you have worked on.
So my projects were one of them was a deep learning project that we have developed a model that can convert a hand-drawn electrical circuit into a digital one. So we did it using MobileNet object detection model, in which we manually drawn all the images, and then after labeling them, we input them into the model and trained our model using MobileNet SSD.
Okay.
So it was also my minor project. I had a good knowledge about it.
Okay. What is the other project you have done?
There was a hackathon conducted by IIT Madras. So I had taken part in it with my team, and also secured in various matches. We had secured in top 20 ranks. We have to predict the score of a cricket match of our first 6 overs. It was done using linear regression and random forest. So in this, we had around very large data, around 2008 to 2020 IPL. All data was considered, and after the data cleansing, we converted into usable format, and all the feature engineering was done. And so we at the end we had around 6 features, and which were like number of batsmen who had done batting, stadium name, innings name, batting team, bowling team, and number of wickets. For like the 6 features were there. We had to predict the score after 6 overs. So it was a machine learning project that I had added in my resume.
Okay. What are the suggestions you want to give for someone who is appearing for EY?
So I would like to give suggestion them that work on their communication skills, and also be working on aptitude is must, because if you won't clear the first round, then there's you won't sit in the interview, right? Working on the interview won't help you unless you are very good at aptitude. So you have to work on it regularly, even for around 10 solve you can solve around 10 to 20 questions every day. It would be enough. And don't add any such skills or projects in the resume that you're not aware of, because they'll ask questions about it, and if you are not able to answer it, then obviously it would be a bad impression. So either don't add it or be fully aware of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Indrajbir. Thank you for joining us and sharing your experience. We at Aim2crack wish you all the best for your career at EY.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. So if you like the video, tell your reviews in the comment section, and also hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to get notified further, and also follow our social media handles. So links for all the social media handles is given in the description box below.